Welcome to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Angelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today.
Mothers and daughters, back again with another great show. Again, like I said, for 2024, everything's going to be informational, everything's going to be educational, everything's going to be some great ways that you can travel on a budget. Everything is going to be just for you to be able to learn from. Again, this is not a gossip show. This is not a here's what's going on in the world, so you got to jump on the bandwagon. I just want to share great information. I want to share my wisdom. I want to share my knowledge. I want to share everything that I can with you so that you can do whatever you want to do for your very best life. Now, that is going to come with some work. I just had somebody ask me today. Remember I told y'all last week, a lot of my podcast conversations come from other conversations that I'm having with people in my real everyday life. The shows that I have coming up the rest of this week and next week, I already know they're from conversations that I've had with people over the last 30 days. And when I get to thinking about it, I say to myself, well, if this person is having this conversation with me, then guess what? There's got to be other people that want to learn from those same conversations. And I'm glad that I'm able to bring you these shows without having to mention names of specific people and violating their privacy to get my point across. And that's the way I want to keep it, because it's nothing but love and light. It's nothing salacious or where I need to drop a name. If I ever feel like I need to drop a name, absolutely I will. Now this conversation came because I was speaking with a young lady who wants me to help her with something. I'll go ahead and tell you what it is. She's having her, I think it's 13 or 15-year anniversary, wedding anniversary. And she said that she had been saving all of 2023 so that in 2024 they could have a really great anniversary. And so she said that she had been reaching out to some travel agents and she wasn't having any good luck. And I said, well, you know, travel agent has to make money off of you. I said, so think about it. If you book something for $5,000, it probably costs $3,000. But, you know, travel agents have to earn money. Well, she knows that I have a ambassador group of ladies and we travel, and she, you know, has always kind of thought of me as, you know, like a play mom or something like that, because she and my daughter have been friends forever and a day. So I was just thinking about, you know, how I could help her to save some money. So I said, well, let's barter. You do this for me and I'll do this for you. And she agreed and we agreed, and that was the end of it. I asked a series of questions, and then I had another conversation with someone, and I was saying, oh, I get this opportunity to do this for this person, and I'm excited because we're going to be bartering. So we're really getting kind of a pretty sweet deal with one another, because I like win-win-win situations. I win, you win. The situation that calls for wins. And so in this case, this is exactly what's going to happen. But I ended up talking to this other person, and I was talking about different ways that you can save money. And I said, you know, you really can do anything you really put your mind to. If you save the money, you put the determination and discipline into it, there's no reason that you cannot do the things that you want to do. So I'm going to talk to you just about a few things that I do and have done to save money to be able to do something. In 2018, I went on a 3-week road trip with my car club, and it was really awesome. It gave me an opportunity to see what the budget for a 3-week road trip would be: excursions, gas money, hotels, activities, and any little shopping that I possibly wanted to do. I'm not a big shopper when I'm traveling, but I do look for homemade soaps, and I look for, you know, what kind of natural resources they have that, you know, we don't have in Texas. And I'll look for certain things. And I do that every time I do a trip, especially when I go to other countries, because we all have so many great resources that sometimes we can't even get where we are. So What it taught me was that if you get your gas and your hotel money out of the way, everything else is gravy because you don't have to eat a lot. I can eat off of $10 a day or less. Okay, my most expensive thing is going to be water, but I save money and I even take my own water with me so that now that problem is even solved. And now that I've got my Brita filter travel cup, I can just pick up my distilled or my spring water or whatever and just use it through there, and I don't have to scurry looking for Mountain Valley spring water, which is my favorite one that I like to drink. So what I learned about that trip is, okay, gas is going to cost X amount of dollars. So we saved up because it's every 2 years. We saved up, and the next trip was supposed to be in 2020. We did not get an opportunity to do Many Takes the States 2020 because we were in the throes of a pandemic. So they just switched it to 22. 2020 couldn't do it. 2021 people were still skittish. 2022 opportunity opened up, and we all came from all places in the earth to be able to meet in Vermont and travel our way down to North Carolina. I had saved several pickle jars of change. We're talking, I had pickle jar full of quarters. I had a pickle jar full of dimes. I had a pickle jar full of nickels. And I had 4 jars of pennies. I don't know why I always end up saving so many pennies, but I'm telling you, those coins really do make a difference. The only problem with me is a lot of my foreign money is also mixed in with my regular money, so I have to pick it all through before I go over to the coin star because it will just keep spitting it back. And as you're sitting there running all your money through the thing, like when I did it in 2022, I had to take like 4 trips to the store because you want to be discreet when you're exchanging your dollars. So I had gotten a little rolly thing that I just always use to go and get the cash money. I took the little rolly thing because those jars, let me tell you something, they are heavy. Those pickle jars are heavy. So I took some one day, got the cash, took some. I ended up, after I turned in all my change, I had over $2,300. In 2018, I didn't even plan to save any change, but the change that I did have saved gave me $864. Okay? So I just want to talk to you a little bit about ways that you can save money as well. And when I say save money, I'm not talking about hoarding. I'm talking about saving it for something that you want down the road that may cost a little bit more than what you normally would spend. I happen to have children who cannot stand the thought of coins unless they're desperate. Other than that, they just leave them on the floor. They throw them in. They have no respect for coins. They will literally save their coins and then just give them to me because they're like, well, she's 100 years old. She still believes in coins. Some of these things on this list that I'm kind of just going to go through because I just sat down and made a list of things that I don't spend money on because it helps me to save money and to be able to spend it on things that I really love, like travel and things like that for my car or whatever. So I just want to tell you the thing, and then I want to tell you if it's something that I have made a difference with in my life. And they're going to be petty, yes. They're going to be simple, yes. They're going to be back to the basics, yes. But if you've known me for any little bit of time, you know that's me. No shocker. Okay. One thing I don't spend money on is paper towels. I prefer to dry my hands with cloth. So I have, like when my towels get old and I don't want to use them anymore, I just cut them up into pieces. I use them for cleaning rags and things like that. That way I don't have to go and spend money on a nice clean cleaning rag. I could just use old towels that are not dirty. But when I say old, I mean like, for example, my dry off towel, I like it to look a certain kind of way. I like for it to be fluffy. I like for it to look new. I like for the color to still be in it. If it's white, I need it to be beautifully white. I'm picky about those type of things. So I don't spend money on paper towels. I do know people that spend money on paper towels and they spend about $18 a week on buying paper towels. I don't do it. Going out to eat, I avoid it at all costs. I like to cook at home. So eating from scratch, we all know it can save us money. My children never really got food out to eat from the house until they got to like high school. And that was because they were in activities and they now had friends. Again, I told you, they went to public school. So they had friends they wanted to go out and eat Whataburger and all these things with. And so they got the opportunity to eat out. Other than that, I cooked 3 meals a day, just like my mother cooked all of our meals at home. There was no going out to eat. You were going to eat at home, or you were going to eat when we visited family, or you were going to eat on the road to Louisiana, which we would always. Oh, let me tell you this funny story. One year we were going out of town, and my mom had made the turkey. Well, we all got in the car, and by the time we got to Louisiana, all the kids, we had eaten all the turkey. When I used to, don't y'all tell nobody, but when I used to take my kids to the movies, again, there were 4 of them. The movies was very expensive. The food and the popcorn and all that is very expensive. I'm willing to spend money on popcorn and maybe an icy, but as they got older and the movie got more expensive, we would pack lunches. So if I had cooked some chicken or whatever, they would just be able to pack that. If they had a soda in their pocket, they would have that. If we got potato chips at the store, they would have that. We pick up candy. Listen, I was not going to spend $75 on the movie and then spend money at the movie. It was never going to happen. I'm like that right now. I'm going to take some popcorn or I'm going to buy some popcorn, but I'm not buying all that other candy and stuff. And it's not because I don't want it, but it's just overpriced and ridiculously not fair. So cook at home and eat from scratch, and you'll see how you can save a lot more money. A lot of my friends that work during the daytime in a regular job, 9 to 5, they use pressure cookers to cook their meal and have it ready for them because maybe they don't get home till 7 after being in traffic for 2 hours in the evening. Maybe they don't get home until 7 o'clock in the evening. And I'll be honest with you, 7 o'clock in the evening is just too late to be trying to figure out what meal you're going to put together, even if you took out all the ingredients and sat them in the refrigerator. So let's think this through. You decided you're going to do hamburgers and french fries with all the toppings and everything. You're going to have a ginger ale, let's just say. So you get home at 7 o'clock. You're going to get a shower. This is what I would do. You're going to get a shower. You're going to, make sure you didn't miss any messages while you're in the car or whatever. You're going to prepare your clothing and everything for tomorrow's work. You're going to set your alarm if you have one. And you're going to prepare for tomorrow. Because, see, by now it's 8 o'clock, okay? You got home at 7. You took a shower. You did all this prepping for tomorrow. It's 8 o'clock. You go into the kitchen. Now, in the middle of this prepping, you took out all the dishes and everything that you need to, fix this meal for yourself. You get the meal out of the refrigerator. You cook the hamburger patties. You put the lettuce and tomatoes and cheese and condiment, whatever you need to put on it. You get the french fries cooked. By the time you sit down to eat, let's say it's 8:35. You shouldn't go to bed like they tell you at least a couple hours before. A couple hours after your food is digested, just so that you don't get heartburn and all these other things that could happen health-wise. But you lay down, and by the time you fall off to sleep, it's maybe 10. And you got to do this all over again. Imagine if every day you said, I'm not cooking at home, I'm going to just pick something up. You're eating processed foods. You're making yourself a little less healthier. You're not probably getting the nutrition you need. And you still had to do everything that I just said and still didn't get to sleep till 10. Because replacing the cooking, maybe you had to come in and clean something up. Maybe you had to clean your bathroom. Maybe you had to, get your closet together. I mean, there are things that we have to do in the evening. And I don't even want to throw in the mix children. So let's say you picked yourself something up from on the way from work because you don't eat late, but you still had to get home and you had to, let's just say you cooked in the pressure cooker. You still got to serve the kids if they're a certain age. If you got a husband, I would hope you would serve him as well. So you still didn't save any time, but I'm talking about saving money. Eat at home. You could put it in a pressure cooker, okay? Another thing I do to save money that just kind of happened to be a byproduct of me changing my eating style is that I don't eat meat. So eating less meat can also save you money because meat is like the main ingredient in a lot of people's meals, but without that, then you won't spend as much money. For example, my youngest son loves to eat steak. He doesn't eat it like he used to anymore. Now that he sees the effects of eating too much red meat, what happens? but and that's a long story. But he eats less meat now. He eats less meat now, but he notices that his grocery bill is a little different now that he's on his own and he's having to buy it for himself. Okay. The other thing that a lot of my friends are doing right now is they're growing their own food and they're realizing that that's the best bet for them. They're getting certified seeds that are the real deal and they are growing their own food and they don't have to go and get the markup at all of the other stores and things. Now, I'm not saying get out there and dig, a garden in your backyard or anything, but I'm saying if you wanted to grow your own tomatoes, you could do a hydroponic garden in your home. You could do tomatoes, you could do cucumbers, you could do all kinds of things that think about. Vegetables are very expensive as well, especially if you decide you're going to go organic and get the organic vegetables. They can be very, very expensive, you know. I have a couple of friends that are out in the country and they are now composting. So being out in the country, when you have to go and take your trash places, you have to pay a certain amount of money to be able to take it to those particular dumpsters because maybe you don't have trash in that area because you're rural. Some rural places don't have a trash set up if they're further out enough, but composting can really help them. And a lot of the leftover foods and pieces they put into the gardens to help to regrow a lot of the food. Okay? Ending waste would be a great way to save money. What's that saying? When I was younger, they used to say your eyes were bigger than your stomach, meaning you see everything that you want, but you maybe can't eat it. You see everything that you want, but you can't wear 1,700 pairs of clothing. You see everything you want, but you don't need 700 pairs of shoes. So start thinking about ways that you can be less wasteful, and that will save you money. And again, in the end, it'll save you time because eventually you'll have to end up getting rid of all that stuff. Listen, I'm talking about what I know. There was a time I had 377 pair of shoes. In the last 3 years, I've been going through my closet, and if I haven't worn them in a year or two, I've been giving them away. There are some that I'm just like, oh, those are my favorites. I'm going to wear those here, there. If I don't wear them within that next year, I give them away. I gave away just last year 59 pair of Steve Madden high heels. Steve Madden is my favorite shoemaker at this point, and I gave those shoes away because some of those heels were just a little too high for my liking now. So I was so happy to be able to give those heels away to somebody who wore the same size shoe as me. Okay? Another way that you could absolutely save money is to, we talked about this the other day, is to really hone down on your budget. Okay? If you can hone down on your budget, you can see where the money is coming in, and then you can see where the money is going out. Another thing you can do to save money is, let's just say you travel. Okay? If you travel, instead of staying in a resort or a five-star hotel, maybe you stay at a hostel. I only suggest staying at a hostel when you're with a group of people. A group meaning 3 to 4 or 5 or more. Not two ladies, not you and your significant other, but groups of people. So if there's several couples, if there's several friends, then, and the only reason I say that is because then you can command the entire space without having to share with any strangers that you don't know. You may end up sharing a bathroom with other people, but at least you won't have to share some of the sleeping space with people because it's kind of set up like dorm rooms. If you've ever stayed at a hostel, if not, Google hostel, Hostel, and just look at what some of them look like. Now they also have some of the hotels that they call pod hotels. And in the pod hotels, you get into like a little pod, and it's just your bed in there. Your bags go in another locked cabinet, but you just get in there and you just go to sleep. That is for people who are kind of backpacking around the country, people who, look, you only got $10 a night for a room and you find one of those places. They're not expensive at all. You do have a shared bathroom that you share with other people. If you've never seen one of those type of hotels, just Google it. Okay? Now, for those of you that have to go out to work, maybe make a good friend at work and you can start carpooling. Carpooling was something I always wanted to do when I worked in corporate America, but no one lived out where I lived, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But that was one of the things that I always wanted to do, to be able to say, okay, I'll get you on Monday and Tuesdays, you get me on Wednesday and Thursdays, and then on Friday, because maybe you go out and you hang out with the group and y'all go get drinks or whatever, and I don't, we won't carpool on Friday, so we good to go. But I never got that opportunity because everyone that I had conversations with or that I considered an associate, they didn't live near me anywhere. I mean, we had people. So the job that I worked at in corporate America was in Northwest Houston, and a lot of the people lived out in Northeast Houston. I live out in West Houston. Some of them lived Southwest. I mean, they just, nobody, not even one person, was really near me to be able to carpool. But I wish that I could have been able to carpool with someone. It kind of sounds like it would have been fun, and it sounds like it could have been a great way to build, friendships, but I didn't get that opportunity, and I kind of hate that I didn't because it sounds like it would have it would have really, really, really been fun. I saw something when I was driving. I forgot what city it was, but I don't know what was going on, but it seems like everybody in that city, every person was line drying their clothing. And these were not even in a rural area, it was like in a city area, but they actually had a line that was actually created in the back of these condos. And I saw people's clothing back there, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Very interesting. Something I've had to learn in the last, I would say, 10 years is learning to fix as many things as you can around your personal space. Now, there are times when I have to call Pablo and say, hey, I think I want to repaint this room. I think I want to change the carpet in here, really carpenter type of things. I have someone that I can call and pay to do that. I used to be able to get all those type of things done for free, but now that I have to pay for it, I'm so proud to. There are things that I can get my son to do for me that, doesn't cost me anything. Like today, he was here putting some shelves up for me that he had taken down because we had put up a new TV and it took up a little bit more space than the other one. So I was happy to do that, but I would have probably, a lot of contractors, you got to think about it. When you call them to ask them to put up 2 shelves, they look at you like, really, girl? Really? I got to make at least $25 off of this $2 job. But, because for example, so I change the locks on my door like very often, like every year or two or something. And this year when he came to change the locks, he was so embarrassed. He told me this. This is not me talking. He said, I'm just embarrassed to even charge you because it's literally just changing lock on a door. It's like so simple. And I said, well, it's simple to you, but it's not something I know how to do, so I have to pay for that service. So I had him to change the locks on the front and the back and another door. And he was like, well, whatever you want to give me. And I was like, well, that put me in a position, the whatever you want to give me, because I'm thinking I already know I'm going to overpay. So I paid him, and he was like trying to give me half the money back. And I said, no, thank you. He said, but I mean, literally, I just put 3 locks on. I said, but that's okay, and thank you. And he was just like, he just was smiling like, this lady, she doesn't even realize she went out and bought the locks. All I did was come over and spend 30 minutes putting them on, all 3. And he was out of here. But I appreciated that he did it. If I would have had to call a locksmith, it would have cost me $300. I already know. Because they want to bring the locks for you. And the reason I don't like that is because I don't want other people having keys to my doors and things like that. And I wouldn't trust somebody bringing me their locks because they could have already gotten an imprint of the key. I don't even want to go there, but you understand what I'm saying. Well, one thing I'll tell you is something that you probably heard from your parents back in the day about turning off those dang lights. I am still a light switcher, okay? Anytime I go into a room and there's no action going on, I'm turning the light off. Even in my own room, I have a lamp that I'll keep on instead of keeping the main light on, just simply because, just to use less energy. When I leave to go away for significant amounts of time, or even if I'm gone for 3 or more days, I unplug everything that I possibly can see to unplug. Because it's like when things are plugged in, it's still using a little bit amount of energy, and I'm so used to having a very fair light bill that it's like, why would I do anything that's going to jeopardize that? Because has saved me a lot of money. I know people that are living in homes the size of mine, and they tell me they're paying $600-700 on light bill, and I've never ever paid more than a couple of $100s on a light bill, and that was during dire times of needing either the air, because the heat has never never gotten past $100 bill. I mean, not even close to that. Another way that you can save money when it comes to your budget is, let's just say you're in the market to buy a car. You can always buy a pre-owned car if it's not almost the same price as a new one. And the reason I say that is because when you look at cars, sometimes you'll see, for example, you'll see a 2019 and it might be $27,000. But if you were to get a 2023 or 4, it might be $2,000 more. Well, I'm going to say go ahead and save the extra $2,000 and get the brand new car. Because if you can get something with no miles on it and maybe the other one have 5 or 10,000 miles, it just, see, now we're talking, you got to make sense with the stuff that you do because it's going to make a difference in the end. Okay? Something I've gotten really good at, and that is making my own products. So I'll share 3 things with you. I make more, but I'll share 3 things with you that I've taken completely out of my budget on a traditional standpoint, and I've gotten supplies that will last me for, already now I've proven that the supplies that I paid maybe $100 for have lasted me from COVID to now. So from 2020 to 2024, I still have enough supplies to make what I'm about to tell you for the next 2 years. So I started making my own soap. Got all the supplies I need because a lot of it is right in the kitchen. Like, yeah, we have sugar in our kitchen, and I don't use sugar for anything but my soaps. Yes, I have honey. The only thing I use honey for, and I use a particular kind of honey, I use it in my tea. And I have turmeric. You know, I have all these type of things already in my kitchen, and I've now created a space to be able to have these things for my soaps. I have coconut oil, I already have that. I have shea butter, I've already had that. Those things we keep in our kitchens, and you know, if we use natural products. I make my own deodorant. I'm always going to be caught with a lemon or a lime. I'm always going to be caught with baking soda somewhere near me. I'm always going to be caught with the supplies that it takes to make your own baking soda. I mean, to make your own deodorant. The other thing that I make is some of my hair oils and things like that that I need, with castor oil and neem and just all kinds of things. So these are things that I already have. And when I started making my soaps, the funny thing is my first batch of soap that I made, I didn't even have to buy any supplies. It was like, okay, I have all these things that I need to make this right now. Of course, I had to go out and get the lye, but I had everything else that I needed to be able to put it in my thing, my soap batch. But the only thing that I did go to Goodwill and purchase was some non-stick type pots and a couple of stainless steel bowls, because I like to use my double boiler with either glass bowls or stainless steel bowls. And I wanted to use pots that I wasn't cooking food in to be able to, you know, melt down the lye and the things that I needed for the soap. Even if I use melt and pour, I didn't want to use it in the same pot that I cook my gumbo in or something like that. So what that has done, and I've done a budget on it, is, but before, when I was buying soap and I was buying deodorant and I was buying hair things, it was costing me almost 500 and something plus dollars a year. I bought some supplies to make all 3 of those things 3 years ago, and I still have enough to get me through the next 2 to 3 years. Now, this is me speaking from this standpoint. I haven't even made my new 2024 soaps. Oh, by the way, my next soap is going to be vitamin C, turmeric, and probably goat milk soap. And then the next one I'm making is going to be, what is it? Coconut, lime. Anyway, I've gotten it all written down, but I'm making some really good ones. And I just make batches for the year, usually the beginning of the year, so that then I don't have to make any more for the rest of the year. But that has taken a lot out of my budget. That $500 I can use on, let's see, maybe 4 trips, 4 flights. If I use Frontier or if I use Spirit or something, that can get me on 4 flights. So that's how my girl brain, budget brain thinks. If you save $500 a year from buying those type of things, then guess what? That's how many flights you can get. Because for me, once the flight is booked, everything else will fall into place. I'll figure out how to use my points or get a discount on a hotel room. Even if I go to that city and I only do everything that's free, it still was worth it. That's my girl brain thinking, like I said. The last thing I'm going to share with you right now is something that I'm working on for 2024. I put it all together on how I want to do it in 23, but I'm working on it so seriously for 2024. Continuing to go paperless. The reason that I particularly have to go paperless is because my goal is by April 1st to have gotten rid of my storage unit, because that is the last piece of something I don't need that I'm ready to remove from my budget. I've had a storage. Let me just put it like this. The first time I had to get a storage was because I was working on a contract with the federal government that we had to save documents for 3 years because I had so many clients under my sponsorship. I had to save that paperwork, and we're talking thousands of pages a month of paperwork. So I have container after container after container. I've gotten rid of a lot of that because it's been way more than 6 years. So after 3 years, you can get rid of it. But there were a lot of other contracted work that I'd done that I wanted to save the paperwork because, one, I can follow those budgets. Two, I can remember all those different speaking engagements. Three, my list of clients are in there. So if I ever need to revisit those clients, I could do that. But now that I've changed the lock to my back storage that I had built specifically to be able to use, now that I'll be cleaning it out in the spring, that's my spring fling, it's cleaning out my back storage. Now that I'll be cleaning out the back storage and replacing some of the things that's in the outside storage that I'm paying a ridiculous fee for, it's not real high, but to me it's just ridiculous because if I removed that from my budget, I could have an extra $1,850 a year. Okay? That's 16 flights on Spirit. My girl brain just kicked in. So you see where I'm going with this? Or let's do 8 flights and then the hotels are covered. You got to understand what I'm thinking about right now. So I told them, I said, well, in the month of February, I'm going to pay it up until the end of April. And then my goal is to be out of there by April the 15th. And by then, that gives me a whole 30 to 45 days to clean the back storage. It's on my calendar on when I'm going to start and when I'm going to end and when I want my last day to be at that storage. And that's why I pay it up so that I don't even have to worry about it. But the other thing that kind of made me a little sour with the storage people is that when I originally got the storage, I was only paying about $97 a month, and my company was paying for that. I'm no longer even doing that particular contract, so that paperwork, I can absolutely throw it away. It's over 6 or 7 years old now. Don't need it. Don't have any reason for it. Nothing in there. I can shred a lot of this stuff. A shred day is going to come up here pretty soon with Comerica. I actually need to look it up so that I don't miss it for this year, seriously. I missed it last year because I just didn't feel like going. It rained that day and I just was not in the mood. But I tell you, for this year, I have maybe about 6 containers that I need to give to them. Comerica Bank does a free shred day every single year around the spring, almost summertime. And I can't wait to participate in that this year. So that's another reason why it's going to be really good for me to clean out the storage so I can be ready for shred day. Because a lot of that banking that's in there, I don't need that to be in the public eye. I have a shredder. I have 2 or 3. 2 big ones, 1 small one that I can use on my own. But then now that's going to have me to go and pay for heavy duty trash bags to be able to dump it in. So now we're creating almost a month worth of manual labor, which is going to waste my time. It's going to cost me money. And it's, again, just truly a waste of time. So I'm looking at all of the cost-effective ways. And when I say something can save you money, think about it. If you're saving money, then you're also saving time. Because I just gave you a scenario with the shredding that I'm going to save money and I'm going to save time. So that's what I particularly am all about. And that's all I wanted to talk with you today, was to save more money. Because if you can save more money, then you get into the habit of being able to control your own finances and control your own budget. But then, you get to control your own fun. If you got $20, your fun can be a movie day out. No popcorn, no snacks. If you save $50, your fun could be a brunch with your girls on a Saturday morning, mimosas included if you so desire. You know, if you have $1,800, your fun could be an amazing trip. Let me give you a place. An amazing trip to Mexico. And you can island hop. You can eat great food every day. You can possibly stay on a resort. And you can drink margaritas every day. And you'll still bring back $300 home. You probably wonder how I know. Well, like I said, whatever money you're able to save can determine what your fun level will be. For me, I have fun just knowing that I have my change jars, pickle jars. The only problem is sometimes when I buy those pickle jars, I can barely always give those pickles away because not all my kids eat pickles. And here I am saying, oh, here, Angie, take 4 pickles. Here, you take 4. And sometimes in those pickle jars, there's like 10 or 12 pickles, and it's like, come on. So now what I've done is I get the pickle jars if I need extra ones, because I did have one that cracked from the bottom. Weird. It's just sitting in there, and the bottom part just fell off. But anyway, I'm noticing that they're making the glass thinner and thinner and thinner, because I bought some Mountain Valley Spring water bottles, and 2 of them didn't even make it home because they barely touched each other in the car, and the whole bottom part of the bottles fell out. And I was just like, okay, this is ridiculous. 1, now the floorboard of my car is wet, and 2, I just lost $6. So I was not a happy camper on that day, and I'm just like, okay, well, it was my fault because I didn't know that they had made the bottles so dang thin. But when the water was hard to buy for about a month or so, I knew something was going to be a change. And it seems to me like they changed the glass of it and they changed the taste. So now I'm a little disgruntled about that. Not enough to care a lot, just to make changes. That's all. And that's what I did. I made some changes. But I'm all about what my fun level is. I remember in maybe 2005, one of my New Year for sure activities was I realized that I was working, and that's all was on my brain was working. And I told myself this year, we're going to add some fun. And from that moment on, I never looked back because my fun level is different than other people. That's why I don't get to travel with too many people, because their fun level is not my fun level. Some people's fun level is getting drunk. That's not mine. Some people's fun level is smoking drugs. That's not mine. Some people's fun level is going and hanging out with strange people and going back to strange people's houses. That's not my level of fun. Some people's fun level is putting themselves in harm's way. That's not my fun. And whatever you consider harm's way is what you consider, and what I consider is what I consider. So my level of fun is always going to be something that's going to get me to the next level of fun. And when I say level, I don't mean I have to level up. I just mean the next thing I want to do that's on my bucket list. And so saving money and being able to use my girl brain math is what I love to do. No regrets about it at all. If you are looking for ways to save money, I would give you one tip, and then I'm going to let you go for today. Create you a mastermind group of other individuals that are like-minded to you, and let this be your topic of building your relationship. For example, back in the day, I used to have certain books that people would always ask me, how did you learn to do that? And I was like, well, I was reading this book and it was saying blah, blah, blah. And I took heed to what it was saying. And by changing and doing this one little thing, like it said, it got me here. And then they'd be like, well, tell me more about that book. And then guess what happened? Book club. So then once we had these book clubs with 10, 15, 20, maximum I ever had was like 32 people in a book club. We'd have these little mastermind things, and then we'd go through these book clubs and we'd talk about, what's the one change? Because that's my whole thing. Give me 500 ideas. I'm going to take one, and I'm going to let that work for me. And then I'll work my way down the list until I get to, if I have 10 ideas, till I get to number 9 or 10, okay? I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to hurry, but I am going to take action. I've never read a book that I did not take action on at least one thing. So if you want to save money, why don't you get around like-minded people who also want to save money, who also wants to hold you accountable, who also wants to help develop and create ideas, who also wants to get together on a often basis to make sure that things are going well for everybody's elevating themselves personally and professionally to be able to save money if that's what you really want to do. Sometimes when we come up with ideas, let's say you want to save money, but you're doing it very quietly, you're not telling anybody, you have no accountability partners. If you wanted to renege on it, you could and wouldn't nobody know, and ain't nobody going to say nothing because they didn't know. But if you're in a group of 7 people and they say, yeah, well, we're doing a no spend February or January, I've seen the January, we're doing a no spend January, and you know, get in the store and you decide, man, I sure need that $65 steak. You might say, you know what, I'll get it in February. Because January, we said we were going to do a no spend January, and I want to be loyal to my group. I'm going to talk to you about loyalty one day, because what I have found, and I said this to myself in a whole conversation I was having with myself, that I noticed that people are not accountable, and I noticed that their loyalty level is 0. And what I mean by that is when you're accountable, let's say you want to save money, you have to not just be accountable to other people, but you need to be accountable to yourself first. But I notice that people work better when they're accountable to other people, because they don't want them to talk about them. They don't want them to have something to say. They don't want them to be disappointed. They don't want them to embarrass. But it's a guilt trip thing. I wasn't born with the guilt trip gene, so it doesn't really work well on me. But I'll tell you this. If you get into a group of like-minded people, you'll see where you can grow. You'll see where you can grow. But if you quietly and discreetly do everything, then you are not accountable to anyone. Now, I am going to tell you, don't tell anyone your private secrets or anything they can hold against you when they get mad and they show you who they really, really, really are. Don't tell people anything about you in that manner. And so here's what that example is. Let's say you want to save $90,000 because that's the amount of money you want to put down on this brand new custom home that you want to have built. And by putting $90,000 down on it and letting the bank pay the rest, and then any kind of subsidy monies that you got, like first-time home buyer funding and all that is what I mean by subsidy money. I don't mean any other kind, because there are tons of other ways to get money for a house. But I'm talking about if you got the first-time home buyers, you saved an extra $90,000 yourself. So first-time home buyers gave you $100,000 down. You saved $90,000, so now you got $190,000 to go down on your $450,000 house. So that made your house note 2 times less than what you thought it was going to be. I'm not saying when you get in your save more money mastermind group that you tell everybody what you're saving the money for. I'm just saying that your goal in your group should be that you're saving $90,000. And your plan that you're going to lay out to save the $90,000 is the level of information you probably would want to give out, because these are not people that live with you, that you sleep with, that you should be masterminding on a level of deep information. It takes a while for me to share my ultimate goals with people. I'll give them just enough for them to not ask a whole lot more questions, especially if they're not helping me grow something. I'm not telling you the end goal or the end results or anything good that's coming along. I'm just going to keep it very baby with you. You know what I'm saying? So, back to the house thing. So you're going to save your $90,000 and they're going to help you with it. So you say, okay, I'm going to do these 5 things and that's going to help me save this amount of money. Okay, I'm not going to travel this whole year. That's going to save this amount of money. I'm not going to go and get, a $500 hairdo every 90 days. That's going to help save this amount of money. And guess what? I'm not going to buy that new car this year with that $800 a month note. I'm going to wait until a month after I get into my house, because then that won't be any hard inquiries on my credit as well, so that I can get the very best interest rate that I can to be able to, when I put that $90,000 down plus that $100,000 that I got from the first-time home buyer people, then they're going to look at that as real significant. And if I get a 1% or 3% interest rate, I'm going to still get a really, really good affordable house note once I get into that house. And then I can decide if I now have a budget to be able to get the car that I wanted for even a better car note, because now I'm a home buyer My credit is good. I've saved some money. Maybe the money's, I had a little something left over because now I'm right at that sweet spot of the house note that I want. You see how I laid out that scenario for you? And that was just right off the top of my mind. Basically, what I was saying is don't tell everybody your end goal or the end game. Only share what you need to share to be accountable to and for your group. It's okay to share how you're going to save it, but you do not need to share exactly what you're saving it for. Okay? That's my show for today on Save More Money. And I hope that any of the money series that I've talked about, you can share it with your friends. You can use it for yourself for sure. And that it helps you in your life. It helps you to grow. It helps you to elevate. It helps you to do the things that you need to do in this life. It helps you to be ready for whatever happens in the world. It helps you to be ready to move around and move about. I shared my story with you a couple of weeks ago about what happened during Hurricane Ike when we went into the grocery store and I had my cash money, so I was able to purchase my groceries. And those who only had credit cards, and every ATM was down, every bank was closed because they got flooded. All the registers were digital and none of them worked. They didn't have any manual registers. There were people in there who couldn't get formula for their babies or their elderly parents or themselves. I walked right out with my groceries because I had cash on me. Not for that emergency. You just need to have cash money so you can move around. So if you save a little bit of money, you don't necessarily have to have it in a savings account. You can keep it in your own personal savings method. Could be pickle jars. Could be a safe. It could be something completely private that none of us need to know about. One more tip and I'm going to let you go for real this time. I had a friend who wanted to buy a car. It was going to be $74,000. Don't remember what type because it wasn't my type of car, so I don't remember the kind. She said, Dawn, if you were going to save money and you had a method on how you wanted to save it, what would you do? I said, well, how much money do you think you'll be able to save if you want this car in 6 months? And she told me. And I said, every time you get that amount, go get a money order. I said, don't get a cashier's check because cashier's checks have to be made out to people and you don't know where you're going to buy this car from yet. You got a favorite dealer, but if you find it over here for $10,000 less, that's what you're going to do. She said, do what? I say, put the money in a non-tangible way for you to just grab in bits and pieces off of it. Get a money order. If you have $5,000 saved, go get a $5,000 money order. That way, when you get to the dealer, you don't have wads of cash. They'll take it, yeah. But if you've got cashier's checks and you present it to them, let's say it's $74,000, but you only got $70,000, and they'll say, okay, we'll take it, because they see you have it right in your hand. It's in money orders. You can write it out to them right then. You can drive away with your car the following day, because you know they got to do all the cleaning and all that stuff. They got to gas it up, and they're not going to typically let you drive it all the same day, because there's just stuff that they need to do to make sure it is ready to roll type of situation. So that's what I shared with her. Do you know within 4 months, she did what I said. She couldn't pick off of it and go shopping and get her hair done and do all these things. She had her car several months before she thought she needed it or wanted it. But guess what? In the meantime of her saving the money, she found the car for $61,500. So she had saved her amount and still saved another $10,000. I'm just saying my methods are not traditional, but they're very basic and they work. That's my show for today on how to save more money. I hope that the ideas that I've given you will help you in your life. And hey, get you an accountability group and you can save money for whatever you want to. It's my show. Bye.